Are you interested in starting your own cash PT practice? Maybe a little side hustle practice right now because you're bored with what you do at work and you're seeing massive volumes of patients. I found the most success by going this route through a practice in a gym. And this is why I started the Gym PT Blueprint. The Gym PT Blueprint is really a program that shows you exactly how to be successful in the cash model, whether it's a side practice or you're diving head first like I did. This shows you exactly how to set your finances up correctly, how to set your practice up correctly, how to sell things, how to market yourself, and how to really convey your unique value to other people so that they'll want to pay you for it. If you are struggling to figure out how to set your practice up correctly, or if you're in practice and you're not making it at least 5 figures a month at this point, you really should check out the Gym PT Blueprint. Head over to drdannymattei.com/products. That's DRDANNYMATTA.com/products to take a look at the Gym PT Blueprint and see how this program can help you become successful. So here's the question. How do physical therapists like us, who don't want to see 30 patients a day, who don't want to work home health, and have real student loans, create a career and life for ourselves that we've always dreamed about? This is the question, and this podcast is the answer. My name's Danny Mattei, and welcome to the PT Entrepreneur Podcast. What's up, guys? Doc Danny here with the PT Entrepreneur Podcast. And it's Thursday, so we're coming at you with a little nugget. And today I want to talk about no-show rates and cancellation rates, in particular, no-shows in the cash PT model. Now, if you function in a cash PT business, what you probably have noticed is your no-show rates are extremely low. Cancellations are really low. People reschedule, things happen, and that's fine. But no-shows are really rare. And we track this really closely at our practice, like most practices do, and I think that we might look at no-shows a little differently than most people. And I'll give you an idea what I mean by this. Usually, when somebody no-shows, we blame them, right? We say, "Oh, they no-showed. They don't value my time, or whatever. Or they're just irresponsible," and we blame them for not showing up at the time they're supposed to. And in a cash model, if you're doing a one-on-one visit, that's a big chunk of your day. In most cases, one person would be a big chunk of your day. And this happened to me today. This is one of the reasons I'm talking about it, is because I have a patient that I've seen once, and she no-showed at her follow-up. We called her, and she was really sorry, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize," and they rescheduled her, and she no-showed again today. And my wife, she's a little more hot-headed than me. She gets angry about it. She gets mad and blames that person. And what I think is, what did I do? What could have I done better? Let me put it that way. What could I have done better to connect with this person more effectively? Because if that person is no-showing on me, it's very rare for us to have no-shows, especially two. It's rare for this to happen. I don't know what's going on in her life, and she had some chronic stuff going on with some injuries that we were looking at. But what could I have done better to connect with this person, for them to feel comfortable with what I feel like I could do for her in order to help her achieve her goal in terms of getting back to activities that she was having to avoid, and really more enjoyment out of her life and not being in this kind of chronic pain state. And instead of me blaming her, she no-showed me, she didn't respect my time, she is unorganized, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's whose fault it is. It's always your fault. It's always my fault. It's always the provider's fault, because we have a unique opportunity to spend time with people and connect with them, in particular on a verbal level, initially listening to them, explaining to them what's going on, how we can help, why they're in the right place. Maybe they've seen a lot of other providers and not gotten the results that they were hoping for, and that this isn't that place. This isn't going to be like the other medical experiences that you've had. And I look back at this initial visit with this patient, and I think, man, what could I have done better? Could I have asked her better questions? Could I have spent more time connecting with her on a different level of interest that she has outside of why she was there? Could I have done a better job in the follow-up email explaining what's going on in our goals going forward and our plan of care? And could I have done a better job with her boyfriend who was there with her that, if he had questions, maybe I could have answered those better. There's a lot of things that we can look at retrospectively to say, okay, how could I have connected with that person better? And the likelihood of them no-showing would be much, much lower because it really doesn't happen that often. So when it does, it's something that I like to take a step back and think, well, what could we have done better? So there's a few things. So number one, always make sure that you're talking to people about why they're actually there, not what's bringing them in. There's a big difference. So you're coming because you have back pain. That's what brings you into the office. But why you're actually there is because, your wife's pregnant, you're about to have your first kid, and you're worried you're not going to be able to pick the baby up out of a crib. You think you're going to throw your back out doing that. How bad would that be, right? You can't, if you're so injured that you can't even pick your own kid up, that's incredibly stressful and a painful thing to happen. So that's why people are in the office, right? What brings them in is the injury, but what they're really doing there is they're trying to solve a problem. And for us to be able to connect with people and understand what their problem is, to be able to verbalize what their problem is and show and demonstrate that we can help them, that's where we get really, really good and really low no-show cancellation rates and high compliance with the plan of care, the homework, everything that goes into it that we ask these people to do. So next time you have a no-show, next time that you have somebody, frankly, just not come in when you expect them to, don't blame them. Look at yourself. Look at your evaluation. Look at your way that you've interacted with them and learn from it. Because if we can say, you know what, I felt like I didn't connect with her really well in that, and started to develop some patterns, now we have a plan of action to change that. Any of these circumstances, any of these opportunities are opportunities to change. Because you got two options. You can either look at yourself and say, what could I have done better? Okay, good. This is an opportunity for me to do something better, to learn, to progress. There's always going to be no-shows, but we want as few as possible. Or you can take the other route and you can blame people. And there's nothing positive that comes out of you just blaming other people for things if you learn nothing in the process. And any sort of minor negative circumstance like this, we never like to see patients no-show. But when they do, we always want to look back, see what we could have done better. Because I'm not going to sit here and blame this person. It's not going to change her. It's not going to change me one bit. It's going to be a huge waste of time. So if I can learn something in the process and I can progress and become better and limit the likelihood of no-shows in the future, that means I get to help more people. That means I get to get more profound changes with more people. That means our business revenue is more stable, and overall, I'll become a better practitioner. Hey, real quick before we go, I just want to say thanks so much for listening to this podcast. If you're one of the people that's already headed over to iTunes and left me a review, I really appreciate it. There's been over 50 iTunes reviews, and all of them being 5 stars, that have been left on this podcast since we started in August. That's awesome. And I read every single review. I take every little piece of advice that you give me in there, any criticism, any positive feedback that you have, I read all of it. And it's amazing to see that we're even getting reviews internationally at this point. So if you're one of the people that's reviewed the podcast, thanks so much. If you're an active listener of this podcast, I highly, highly encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and go to iTunes and leave me a short review. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and it really does help me get this information in front of more people. So guys, thanks again for your time, and keep listening.